Hi there, I'm Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor. This is 5 Live for the last Friday of 2025. And one word that we have discussed perhaps the most this year, no prizes for guessing, it is pollution. One word, a walking red flag for anyone living in Delhi and NCR. You can dread it, you can run from it, but pollution still arrives the same year after year. And 2025 has been no exception. As winter set in, the national capital began choking once again. Air quality slipped from poor to very poor to severe to hazardous. The global international air quality monitors went on to report AQI levels in parts of NCR shooting up to 1,500, sometimes 1,700 as well, even if it was briefly. But what did the government say? That India has its own air quality standards, that there is no need to follow parameters set by the World Health Organization, that global AQI monitors or even independent ones cannot be trusted. But you know what? We've discussed this issue for so long on this very program. Every day for the past 2 months at least, we've got you guests, we've got you experts, we've gotten angry, we've gotten really enraged by how complacent our politicians have been. We also saw how Parliament could not even pick up a minute to discuss the matter, how we've not heard the country's top leadership discuss the issue. But, you know, the year is coming to an end, and I don't want to end it on this very angry note. I actually want to talk about solutions today. As we say goodbye to 2025, and as we, go with our eyes wide open, with hopefully more aspirations and also more hope in 2026, what exactly is the solution for pollution? Today's program, the next 1 hour, is dedicated to that, where we will look at what environmentalists, what scientists, what doctors have to really say about what can be done. Enough time has been spent now on us grilling the politicians across party lines because they're all the same, really, remember. The political party in power, yes, has accountability and should be accountable, should be, answerable to questions. But while they think, they ponder, let's get to the solution. Let's offer them a way to actually bring about change in our lives. On that note, let me bring up my guest list today. All right, joining us today on this very fascinating debate where we are only discussing solutions for pollutions, with us is, I would like to call our pollution family, the experts who have defined time and again what can be done if only those in power were there to listen. All right, let me start with Vimlendu Jha, environmentalist, CEO, Green the Map. Also with us is Chandra Bhushan, CEO of International Forum for Environment, Sustainability and Technology, iFOREST. Mr. Deva Bhaktuni Sri Krishna, engineering and public health researcher and founder of patientknowhow.com. Very delighted to have Bharti Chaturvedi with us. She's the founder and director of the Chintan Environment Research and Action Group. And then the warrior mom, Bhavreen Kandhari, is with us. She's an environmental activist, clean air strategist as well. All right, so here we are, folks. We've spent a good part of 2025 talking about what is wrong with pollution. I want to spend some time before we end this year and before we say hello to 2026 on a positive note. I thought it'd be a good idea to get some solutions out this time, not just raise questions, not just have outrage, but actually be able to bring in some constructive answers, which I'm sure all of you on the panel have. Like I keep saying, this is the pollution family. These are the people who've been talking about it for years and years, have expertise on the matter as well. So who better than you guys, all right? So let me start with Vimlendu. The pollution challenge that Delhi NCR has seen, in fact, the whole country has seen, I have seen a shift in that year on year. The challenge that we had 10 years ago versus the challenge we have now, not just in Delhi, but other places, has also shifted. What, according to you, has happened at the moment? Where are we on our pollution journey, on our pollution awareness? And thus, according to you, what is the top priority that needs to be fixed?
Sonal, the thing is that there's no lack of awareness anymore. I think the effort made by people like yourself and many others have made pollution everybody's business. And also the fact that it's not just about information around pollution, but the impact of pollution is also made available to everyone in every household. So now you don't need to academically understand pollution. You can, through your nose, through your head, through your limbs, can actually touch, feel, breathe, eat pollution in that sense. So that's a major shift, that pollution is no more just an academic conversation. One. Two, also what we've seen this year more so in terms of people and their outrage and their unrest with regard to pollution, in terms of people actually coming on ground, talking about it, also agitating, primarily because something which is so easy and fundamental and should be the most low hanging for the government is to tell us the level of pollution. Fine, it's their responsibility. They are the custodian of our air, our water, and public health in that sense. And ideally, they should be curing it. But imagine the issue that came up this year is that data, the very limited thing that the government could have done is share that data, even there was manipulation and dishonesty there. So I would say that, that the needle shift is that, and that is what there is ground up anger, there's more frustration, and the lungs are crying out louder than last several years. Of course, the pollution levels. Now, the fact, one more interesting thing that has happened this year is that we've kept the entire pollution conversation very Delhi NCR centric, and which is disservice to the larger air pollution crisis in that sense. We've seen stories of pollution and of impact from other parts of the country, and people like yourself have also, in that one breath, when we were so obsessed only with Delhi NCR, people like you have said that, that one of the reasons why we have not been able to mandate air pollution as one of our national priorities is because we have kept it only Delhi centric. So the fact that it's pan India, the fact that 70 to 80% of India's air is bad, and that's public knowledge and public feeling and public disease in that sense is a way forward that I would see.
Got it. So Vimlendu has made a couple of points. Let me just summarize that for the rest of the panel as well. He's basically saying for him, the solution at the moment is A, get more transparency in the meters, get more transparency and trust in the numbers that we are seeing. He's saying there is enough awareness, but also to understand, take pollution as an India problem. Like I was telling my producer the other day, we have a super running Delhi airpocalypse. I said it should change to India's airpocalypse because it is a pan-India problem. It's 60% of India problem. That's the second one. And the third one that he's saying is that it's very important to understand that we have people working on it. And also to mention that there is enough public awareness and it's being felt all over, and thus the need to sort of address it at an even urgent basis. But Chandra Bhushan, talk to me a little bit about the GRAP measures. GRAP measures came into being 5 years ago, if I'm not wrong, when the Supreme Court got into there. It not just been about 5-6 years that we've had GRAP enforced in India, in Delhi NCR actually. Mumbai this time around saw some bits of it. They thought they should replicate that model, but there was confusion. Do you think at the levels that we are at the moment, is GRAP still a solution, even if a short-term solution?
See, first of all, you need to understand that till level 3 of GRAP is something that we should be doing year-round. I don't understand why we need to say that we need to stop burning waste only during pollution season. And that will happen in GRAP 3 or dust management. So till GRAP 3, all the activities that are listed should be done year round. It is the responsibility of municipality. One other thing we miss all the time is to hold municipal corporations accountable. What is NDMC doing or MCD doing? We go to state government and union government. But the fact is, till GRAP 3, everything that needs to be done is to be done by local government. So I don't think GRAP 3 is a year-round activity. It should happen. GRAP 4, I have never believed that is a right approach. It's a very draconian, provision. Instead of ensuring compliance, which is a tough job because inspectors will have to be on the ground. They will have to inspect factories and buildings. They take an easy way out and say, I'm going to close everything. So GRAP 4, there is no evidence that GRAP 4 is leading to any reduction in pollution.
Even the enhanced position of GRAP 4. It changed
Yeah,
this year.
absolutely. There is
Ordin
no
even
evidence.
was removed.
So
A
just
couple
think
of
about
measures
it.
which were
Why-
in GRAP 4 went to GRAP 3. You're saying under the revised definitions, GRAP 3 should be enforced all year round.
Yes, absolutely.
Only in Delhi NCR.
I mean to say it is depending on state governments, wherever there is an air pollution crisis. First of all, Sona, let me rephrase what I'm saying. I don't think we need GRAP the way it is being done in Delhi NCR anywhere in India. The
Okay.
activities that are, most of the activities that are there in GRAP should be done year round. The draconian provisions of GRAP is not leading to any result. Last 2 days, air quality has improved not because there was GRAP 4, because the wind speed was more than 10 kilometers per, 10 meters per second. Okay. So one needs to understand, and this is this I have been talking about for the couple of years, that why are you doing something which is not leading to any result? And this is an easy way out. We have a law, and the job of the government is to enforce that law, to ensure compliance. Instead of ensuring compliance, what we are saying, we will close you down. Now, this is an easy way out. This is not the way air pollution problem is going to be solved for the country. We have air pollution standard for dust. We have air pollution standard for industry. So GRAP has become, it's almost like all-in-one solution. But that's not how air pollution crisis will be resolved.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Let me bring in Bharti Chaturvedi on this one. Bharti, if GRAP does not work, as Chandra Bhushan is saying, that either it needs to work all year round, certain provisions of it, and then even with GRAP 4, we don't see any immediate results. If that doesn't work, then what does?
Well, I think Chandra Bhushan kind of spelt it out, which is actually raise your standards of pollution abatement and reduction throughout the year, right? I mean, that's what I think he tried to say when he said have a GRAP 3-like restriction through that whole year. But I think there's a little more than that. I think one of the things that we don't actually see adequately, even if we did GRAP, is that we see absolutely no, we see an attitude of don't inconvenience the public. I find that very problematic, because I think that the kinds of changes that we will have to make as a country socially, those are completely ignored. For example, you just can't have a 1,000-person shadi when it's 700 plus AY. You can't just go on living as if everything is normal. And I find that we don't have enough of a social self-restraint. And I think we've got to figure out how to do those, whether it's by, there's several possible things.
But Bharti, can I bring in another perspective here? Yeah. GRAP 4 really impacts the poorest of the poor. We had a report yesterday where our reporters went to the area where you have all the labor chowks, right?
Yeah.
Where all the laborers come there, they earn their dihadi, which for everybody English watching viewers, let me tell you, it's like a open sort of marketplace for you to come and hire daily wage workers for whatever odd jobs that you want. It could be construction work, it could be cleaning, it could be anything like that. They said that GRAP 4 for them is like the pandemic. GRAP 4, they've not had jobs. GRAP 4 has been enforced in Delhi for the past 2 weeks. They said 2 हफ्ते से कोई भी आमदनी नहीं हो पाई है. It hits the poorest of the poor the most. And I mean, for them, it's a double-edged sword, because they're not just losing their lungs, they're losing their livelihoods as well.
So let me come in on that, because that's something that we work on. My larger point was that the elites are just carrying on. And if you want to talk of livelihoods, there are people like even municipal karamcharis, if we want to talk about government actors, but even other actors, street vendors, waste collectors, all of them who, the studies that we've done are showing that they have significantly higher lung damage. And the second point that I think is, it's really ridiculous that we're not really paying any kind of compensation, which we had discussed. I mean, at this point, there's a whole conversation on parametric insurance for heat, So I really see no reason why we can't apply the same logic to air pollution. I mean, and that's
You're
what we
saying
have to.
compensate them for every day of no
Yeah,
work, every day of GRAP
the,
4.
the
That's
heat
very
was.
unregulated sector. Doing that is
So it's
complicated.
not that complicated. It's not that unregulated. There are ways to prepare for it. If you want to do it at 1 day's notice because you've got GRAP 4 with no preparation, then you can't do it. And that's the problem with the way that we've handled air pollution. We start thinking about it by late September. You need to use the whole summer to be prepared, whether it's parametric insurance or whether it is actually completely changing the nature of what can be done. We even don't have a system at this point to stop marathons and cricket matches. I mean, it's completely disgraceful in all these cities. So many of these cities are under NCAP. So we actually are very poorly prepared. I think fundamentally we don't have
So
databases.
what's your solution out of this?
My solution is start working on from 1st of March, get the money, get ready, be completely ready for 30th September. Whether it's insurance, parametric, or whether anything else. We just don't do it.
Okay, so the solutions we've got so far, let me just sum that up. It started with Vimlendu saying, give us more trustworthy numbers. Then it went to Chandra Bhushan, who said that GRAP needs a completely new outlook. It has to be year-round and it needs to change in several measures. And then to Bharti saying that whatever measure you take, it can't start in November, it has to actually start in March. And then you have to look at compensation on different points. So I've got 3 points so far. I'll come back to Chandra Bhushan. I know you want to make a point. Let me go to Deva Bhaktini to understand his solution. What do you think? For me, the largest, this is very simple and very known, and very thankfully, the Transport Minister Gadkari also, recognized this yesterday, where he said that we understand that the maximum pollution particulate matter, in fact, that is coming in and damaging our lungs, 2.5, PM1, etc., is all coming from vehicles. What exactly your specific solution for combustion, for vehicular pollution in Delhi? Because in fact, this is not a Delhi problem, this is all across metros problem. Mumbai, that's the issue, might be more dust actually, construction dust in Mumbai. In Kolkata, that's the same issue. In cities like Kanpur and Lucknow, it's the same issue as well. It's largely traffic. So how do we fight that?
That's a really good question. I think as you saw recently, the air cleared up in Delhi because of the winds. And the fundamental issue is not just the pollution itself, which is a kind of a constant, but also the stagnation and the lack of ventilation. And so the winds is a horizontal ventilation. So when there's wind, you're lucky and it gets out of the way. When there's another kind of ventilation, which is vertical. And the vertical ventilation is what is actually creating the entire hazardous conditions when people are suffering, going to the hospital. And it's basically the air is not, the particles are not able to escape. They get a temperature inversion. And so the goal of the policy, specifically with respect to pollution, needs to be how do you avoid the vertical stagnation? That's because that's what will let the particles get out. Because we know that they can get out. We just saw it a few days ago. And so what's stopping it from getting out is a temperature inversion. And there's basically warming of the atmosphere hundreds of meters up relative to the ground. And what this does, normally the air will rise to the top and then escape. That's when there's sunlight, especially during the day in the midday hours, the sun will warm the ground and then the air will heat up and then it'll rise. And that's how it escapes. And so in addition to the horizontal when there's wind, it's also vertical escape. What's the failure that's happening, and the science, we actually are very lucky in some sense because there's decades of research that's now published that show these things very clearly in the research literature. So
what's your solution to that? Inversion, we all understand by now. What's the solution?
So the number one cause of this is black carbon. And so the diesel particulate filters the diesel engines are causing most of the black carbon that creates these problems. And so the diesel particulate filters are something that is recognized in the BS6 standard. And in fact, it's required in GRAP 4 specifically for the Delhi area. But it basically doesn't go far enough. It's not enforced well enough. As you had shown last week, even though there's GRAP 4, there are many trucks and many buses that are roaming freely without compliance with the BS6 standard. And so there's not, even if on paper you have diesel particulate filters in the trucks, in practice, that's not happening. There's just still a lot. There's
So are
2.5
you saying
tons.
eliminate all diesel vehicles, public, private, transport, and whatever they're being used for, eliminate all diesel is your solution?
No, that's unnecessary. We can actually filter the air that comes out of the diesel particles. So you can use existing diesel vehicles, the legacy vehicles and the new vehicles, and just put a filter on top of it. And so that's a well-known
What is this
technology.
filter called?
Basically, diesel particulate filter. Diesel, it's called a
Okay.
DPF. It's a technology that is
Okay.
used worldwide, all over the world, US, Europe, everywhere. And it's actually retrofitted on old vehicles. And so you basically, as a public policy, you can actually say, all right, these have to be upgraded. So then they can operate normally with removing 90%, 95% of the particles that they would otherwise.
So it's like a contraption that can just be fitted into older vehicles?
That's right. That's right. It's literally
I
a
see.
filter.
And how expensive is it?
It has a cost associated with it, and it's certainly much cheaper than replacing the vehicle. I can actually look into that. I'd have to get back to you, but basically it's a much lower cost solution than actually wholesale replacing it to EVs or to other kinds of other solutions. It's a very low cost intervention, but it has to be enforced.
That's interesting.
And
That's interesting.
Yeah.
A particulate matter filter that can be attached to older vehicles, so that you don't have to scrap them, you don't have to, sort of just eliminate all
That's
those
right.
vehicles, remove them from the streets. That's very, very interesting. I would love for you to sort of dig into some costs and give that as well, since we're talking solutions. And we can even clip out this interview and send it to the government as well and say, listen, this is available. Okay, but I know Bhavreen hasn't spoken so far. Bhavreen, what is your solution?
So, Sonal, something that I think many of us have been already saying, like for years now, for I think since 2018 or 19 on the RTI, that there is a huge need of a systemic changes that are needed. So everything that's being said right now, whether you want to work on vehicles or whether you want to work on waste or you want to work on a daily, violations, waste burning violations, industrial. Now, what exactly is needed for that? You need real boots on the ground, and we don't have that. The pollution boards are pretty much 50% vacant. They have very poor training. I mean, it's not only the pollution boards. Take any department, take the forest department, take your traffic police, take your fire service. Every department as of now has huge number of vacant posts. They're understaffed. They do not have the right training, especially at a time like we are in an emergency situation. At this point, in fact, you should be having quick reaction teams and extra, the CRPF jumping in and, SOPs to actually react when there's a fire, when there is a violation that's being reported from, the endless, even the last 5 days, I can show you endless violations from Munka, Bhavana, various Bahadurgarh.
I agree with Bhavreen. Nothing will work, no solutions will work if we don't staff, and the implementation has to be enforced. So please give the proper funding required to these departments and make them the custodians of sort of enforcing that thing. I like that solution also.
They have to be empowered in every way.
They have to be empowered.
In every sense, with equipment, with even weapons. I mean, the forest department, they're getting beat. When a couple of forest guards, they were during the Chhat Puja, they came into the southern ridge, and they stopped people. Some people were digging, to make that pond or whatever. They beat them up. And this was taken to the police. They were threatened there to take the case back. The case was taken to the court. Nothing has happened. So, they don't even know how to protect themselves. They don't even have some weapon to actually protect themselves, the people. So something so basic. Forest department for so long didn't even have uniforms, So you have to empower your officers. You have to make your, there can be thousands. You just built a central vista with I don't know how many thousands of crores. You can have enough cameras. You can have enough surveillance for violations. All those kind of modern technology can be brought in, but everything needs to be done on the sources of emissions. Anything that's being done post pollution is a farce. I can tell you that is not going to work. And we've had enough of that from smog tower to now, whatever is being done in terms of sprinkling, etc. So whenever somebody says there's a gadget that you put on something to reduce pollution, it's not working. It's just a farce. And I'm not going to mince any words with that.
All right. Well, that's a wrap from all of us. I can make one request, one to the government and perhaps one to the people watching. To those in power, please, please prioritize air pollution. That's my only hope from you. That's my only demand. Prioritize clean air. That's fight every election on this issue, dedicate all the money, prioritize people's health because you don't know long term what's going to happen. And to those of us watching, please vote on clean air. Please vote. Dedicate your vote, keep it very close to your heart and give it to the party who promises to keep you and your health at the center of it all. If those two things can happen, I'm sure everything else will also fall into place. But I have to thank each and every one of you for coming here, for being with us all through 2025. And like we said, now we have a new platform, Health Wealth, where we are dedicating that entire time to ensuring people's health comes first. So stay tuned because there's lots more coming up in 2026. Here's wishing everybody a very, very happy new year. Hopefully a clean one next time around. Bye-bye.